Well, let's see if this works. Let's see if this little podcast format works for something. I don't know. And for our first guest, if this is going to become a thing, I have brought you a fellow coin YouTuber. Who's here with me today is Damian Salgado. He has a channel called Numis Channel. He's from Argentina. He is also like a Roman coin collector, but not just a collector. He's been giving classes on classical numismatics. He's written books about it. Maybe I'll even let the guests give us a quick introduction of who he is and who's going to be accompanying us today in our little chat.
All right. My name is Damian Salgado, as you said. I've been a professor of numismatics, general numismatics, from ancient to early modern, let's say. For 15 years, I started in the CONICET, which is the federal institution for scientific researchers in Argentina, and later in the Centro Numismático Buenos Aires, which is the main, let's say, collectors club institution, and also with some academic activities such as my seminar. Also, I work for one of the main companies, auction houses in Central Europe, as a cataloger, coin expert. And also I am in charge of the reorganization, classification, attribution, and authentication of the collection of the Greek and Roman coin collection of the National History Museum here in Buenos Aires, Argentina. So I had the privilege of being probably the only numismatist to be hired by the Argentine government for working with coins, and more specifically with ancient coins, with ancient Greek and Roman coins. We had a collection. We have a collection in the museum that was brought. The nucleus of this collection was brought by our first president, Bernardino Rivadavia, in the 1820s, in the early 1820s, exactly 200 years ago. So after that, it was increased with donations, etc. Quite unfortunately, we had a serious theft of the collection, the entire collection. Yes, in December 2019, the whole collection was stolen by personnel of the museum. And fortunately, about 75% of the collection, a little more than out of 900 coins stolen, not the whole collection was stolen. The whole collection of ancient coins is about 2,500, and they stole 900, and 600 and something were recovered. So 300 coins still remain to be recuperated. But anyway, there is a lot of work with it. I also work as a coin specialist for the museum during the trial, the trial against the thieves, also identifying the coins that were recovered, etc. So, well, and also, as you well said, I have the a YouTube channel on numismatics, which is quite successful, let's say, for being a channel mostly related to ancient and oriental numismatics. So we have about 4,075 subscribers, and about 80 members, which are people who every month support the channel with donations.
So in case, like, I actually urge everyone to go and subscribe to Damian's channel, because although his content most of his content is in Spanish. He does put subtitles in a lot of the like most important videos, and the wealth of knowledge that this man has is really impressive.
Thank you,
I'm
Liam.
often bugging him to proof check stuff that I'm about to put on my videos, just to see if I'm not saying something stupid or if I'm finding some wrong information. And so far it's been really impressive. And well, thanks for that introduction. It was actually quite interesting, because this is a nice bridge to the subject I invited you to talk about today, because so there's this curious thing, being a channel focused in English, talking about ancient coins. We have this although we have like this international crowd watching the channel, it seems like it's kind of focused in the English speaking world. So we're talking about US, the UK, Canada, Germany, some of these other countries that are not English speakers, but anyways. So it's this very specific kind of niche of collectors that watch this channel. And these people collect coins. These are some of the largest numismatic markets on the planet, especially like the American, the English, and the German. I think these are the three biggest, probably. And these people do not know that our hobby is kind of like being threatened, if I can put it in this way. And while these countries have quite liberal laws about collecting antiquities, about metal detecting, England is an example of some very interesting and some very supportive country of metal detecting. But once you look into the people that live and try to collect and study coins, especially in source countries like Spain, Italy, Greece, Turkey, these countries are starting to feel a very heavy pressure of mainly politicians looking for clout, and archaeologists, important archaeologists, that are trying to make a point and push legislation that it's almost like they're saying these people shouldn't really have common people shouldn't really have the right to collect coins. This is quite odd. And this is what I thought we could discuss today. Because I mean, before, like, I was writing some key points about our discussion, and I came to this realization: why isn't there on YouTube a channel called Numismatica Classica, run by an Italian guy talking about Roman coins? Why isn't there such a thing? Why isn't there a Greek channel about ancient coins? Why isn't there a Turkish channel about ancient coins?
Forget it.
And that is the point that we're going to talk about.
There's not even a Turkish web page. There's not even a Turkish web page. There was a web page on Ottoman coins, and was was banned by the Turkish government. Okay.
Yes, some of these countries have egregious legislation about the collection of coins. And not only the collection, I mean, in Greece, if I recall correctly, the collecting of ancient coins is also forbidden. The state takes full ownership of absolutely everything. Italy is a little bit more, quote unquote, lenient, as it just puts some legislation in place that you need to have a provenance dating back to, I don't know, like
1906.
Yes. and as you said, places like Turkey, it's even more draconian. It's a criminal offense to own anything, to own antiquities. It's even, as you said, like producing content about it is forbidden, which for someone from the Western world and the liberal world sounds basically absurd. And this is what I thought we could talk about today. Not only the legislation on this, but actually making a point for these people in these countries where coin collecting is something, and antiquities collecting is something so that they take for granted, that they think it's casual and normal, how it is really important to go after our representatives, go after the people in charge, and say, hey, the ownership of these items and the study of these items by private individuals is super important. How metal detecting should be something that is liberalized, that people can do it. And especially this, that's another interesting point that I would like to hear your opinion.
Mhm.
It's dispelling some of the arguments that especially these politicians and these people make, that the coins, antiquities, but especially coins in particular, whenever, like, they must come from the looting of an archaeological site. They must come from, like, there, you collecting these coins, you are destroying the heritage of these countries, and this is very selfish and this is horrible. Let's debunk this. I want you to completely destroy these myths. I want you to discuss, where do these coins show up? Because it's not like there's a guy destroying a temple as we speak and getting some Athenian tetradrachma to sell in the market. It's not how it works. So maybe let's start by the beginning. How do coins show up? Where do they show up? Where they're typically found?
Well, ancient coins show up everywhere. I recall reading a book by David Hendin, the great specialist in biblical coins, and he said that he found a coin in the street in Jerusalem, which was like between two blocks, two stones in the road. Of course, coins do show up in archaeological sites, of course. However, the coins that we collect, that we collectors most like, which are the best preserved examples, they are not found in archaeological sites. They are mostly found in hoards, and hoards were buried usually away from where people live, because nobody will be so stupid to bury a pot of coins, let's say, where everybody is walking around and watching. I recall my dog. I have a winter dog, Fritz, and he hides his bones, right? And when he's hiding his bones, he's always looking around if we are watching him, because he gets very angry if we are watching him when he's hiding his bones. So now most ancient coins that get into the market, and which are well preserved examples, they are found in hoards, whether pot hoards, which is a way of finding coins. A pot hoard is a coin. It's a hoard that is in a pot, right, in some kind of a container, usually clay, but maybe metal too, or loose, but it is a hoard. It was a hoard. They were hoarded probably in a I don't know, leather bag, and the leather bag was rot with the time, and the coins were more or less dispersed, but not very much, right? They are found in a given area, in a given distance, 1 to 5 meters, no more, right? And there are no archaeological sites there. Now, archaeologists will tell you that if there is a hoard, then there is an archaeological site, right? Because only the pot hoard, or even the loose coins of the hoard that was found outside any habitation or human settlement, let's say, it is anyway, that is an archaeological site because of the coins, right? Now, there's a problem with this, is that the lobby, let's say, that this lobby of archaeologists that want in ultimate instance to forbid numismatics, they will use the looting of actual archaeological sites, such as ruins, temples, homes, ancient homes, etc., as the argument to tell you, if you collect coins, you are responsible of looting, destroying important archaeological sites, which is not the case. This is a lie. This is just a useful lie. Just as if you take the UNESCO post, el correo de la UNESCO, which is the official the official magazine of the United Nations on heritage matters, right, and cultural matters, and they put you the photograph of a collector of or an auction, a coin auction on the left, and on the right you see members of the terrorist group ISIS destroying the the winged lions of Assyria, right?
Mesopotamia, yeah.
And they tell you the same. It's more or less the same, right? And this kind of talk, this kind of stories, right? They are terribly they're terrible lies, right? Because it's the ultimate goal is the destruction of numismatics. Now, numismatics is a science that is at least 200 years old, that has provided information for archaeologists, for historians, for epigraphists, for linguists, for everything. All a huge amount of information that was produced by numismatics, and by numismatics that normally were not from the places where the coins are found, right?
Yes.
For instance, we have the example of great American from the US numismatists, such as Bellinger, such as Metcalf, etc., that made huge contributions to the study of numismatics, that made amazing discoveries. And if the coins that were found in Greece, in Syria, in Egypt, in Italy, in Spain, etc., were only the heritage of the Spanish people, the Syrian people, the Egyptian people, etc., those discoveries will have never been made, right? Because on the other hand, we should question if coins, ancient coins and ancient artifacts in general are the heritage of a nation. Because there is, I think, behind this idea of the national heritage, there is a very, very fascist idea that the Greeks, the Romans, I don't know, the Iberians, the Visigoths, or I don't know, the Merovingians, etc., were only steps, historical steps towards a modern nationality, right? Which is a very, very fascist idea, right? While you and me and many others that live in the Americas, well, you come from the Americas, I am from the Americas, and all these great numismatics what we'll be talking about, and we can also speak of Taylor, who is Australian, or we can also talk about I don't know, David Hartel, who studied the Chinese coins, or Hazard, who was a Canadian also, who studied Ptolemaic coins. Our ancestors also lived in the Roman Empire. So these coins are also our heritage. And there is no way someone will forbid us to study or to collect them, because it is now the national heritage of a modern nation. Because my ancestors
think. Sorry, go ahead.
My ancestors, they all came from the Roman Empire. All of them.
Yeah.
Because
I can already think about some of these people making an argument. Hey, yes, you're naming people from the US, from England. So you're basing yourself into this imperialistic side of the political spectrum where they just went around pillaging these poor countries and taking all of their coins, their hoards, and studying and getting the glory of their numismatic wealth and getting it for themselves. It's weird. There's still this dumb argument about an imperialistic view, and yeah, basically an argument that it is something from invaders. It's always about that. It's always about pillaging. It's about people coming in, getting our stuff. And this actually, I mean, this links me back to probably like some like more practical question. So I mean, we have hoards where these coins come from. And yeah, they're going to be found there. I mean, you know what? Let me step back a second.
Right.
And let me think about the perspective of collectors and people who want to study numismatics nowadays. Of course, we as numismatists, like, we are very worried about protecting heritage and making sure that looting doesn't happen. So yes, how do we know, and how do possible coin collectors know that their coins are not the fruit of pillaging and of looting, as we were talking about? Like, how can coin collectors be like, do in a sense, like, do make their due diligence in knowing that their coins do not come from, how can I put it, like some ugly provenance, how they don't come from ISIS stealing a site, and from dirty Italian metal detectorists destroying ancient Roman temples in rural Italy. How do we know that the coins that get to our collections come from legitimate sources, and that actually the procuring of these items, the procuring of coins, the metal detecting, for example, in non-archaeological sites, it's something that is okay, that feeds a massive market, and also, but much more than the market, it feeds this wealth of numismatic knowledge and historical knowledge that just makes our universal knowledge of history richer for everyone.
Well, there's no way to know. Actually, some archaeologists will tell you that they can study the coins, and if they have, let's say, earthen deposits, it is because it is looted. Well, this is and they even in Spain, for instance, they have even promoted the idea that they have ways to know how old is the earth that you find in the coins as deposits or adhesions, right? Well, this is pseudoscience, right? This is not described in the academic literature anywhere. This is an invention that aims to the ultimate goal of banning numismatics. That's so simple. Okay, you will say, but there must be, of course, if there is a very important coin, a very rare coin, expensive coin, etc., it is logical to suppose that this coin will have a pedigree, will have a history behind, a second history behind, as a collector's item, and that have been sold in auctions, perhaps from the early 20th century, right?
Yeah.
Now, the huge mass of cheap common coins, and when I say cheap, I say coins that may be even $500 or $1,000 today, They have no history because they just changed hands 100 times without any record, right? So that
It's impractical.
a coin of this type will have no record, will have no pedigree. It doesn't mean that it is looted. It's well, that's what they are proposing now, those who want to cancel numismatics. That if they don't have a record, and secure and proven record of transactions, let's say, this coin is illegal, which is ridiculous. And this is what happened in Italy. You asked me these countries, mostly Mediterranean countries, that have very, very draconian laws of patrimony. I would say, I will put it in, as for the countries we mentioned, I will put it in this order. Turkey, the most problematic of all. Greece, second, which is not only forbidden to collect ancient coins, it is forbidden to collect anything except modern coins. If you take a Greek coin auction, you will find that there are no coins prior to the Phoenix, which is the first coin of independent Greece, 1828. Nothing before that. Ottoman coins are forbidden in Greece. Medieval coins, such as the Crusader coins that were minted in Greece, they are forbidden to have or to collect. And everything, of course, Roman coins from Greek mints, like Roman provincial, let's say, quotations, because they are mostly civic coins, right? There are no provincial coins in Greece. There are civic coins from Roman times, right? And of course, bronze coins and small Greek silver coins are forbidden, not the large coins. Look at this, because it is well proven by the numismatists that big coins, such as the Athenian tetradrach, were minted for export.
They were, yeah.
So they cannot claim that to be, because it will be ridiculous, because all hoards recorded of, let's say, Athenian tetradrachs and even the Aeginetan statues, the turtles, right? They were found outside Greece, such as in the Asiut hoard, which was found in Egypt, for instance, etc., etc. Now, then you have Greece, after Greece, Italy, where everything is forbidden, but there are things that are even more problematic than others, such as ancient coins, Greek coins, and early Roman Republican coins, which are very problematic. Aesignatum, Aes Rude, Aesignatum, Aes Grave, and the early didrachms, up to the Quadrigatus. Everything. Italy is even claiming that all other countries in the world should return such coins to Italy. This is the situation. And the fourth, but no less, I will put Spain, which is where the ideologists of this lobby are fascinated with Italy, and they copy everything from Italy, and the aim is to have the laws enforced in the Italian way, right? Which is virtually forbidden numismatics. There are no channels, as you said, there are no YouTube channels of Italian, nor Turkish, nor Greek numismatics, ancient coins, and there are virtually no web pages nor anything. And I tell you more, Italian numismatists that devote themselves to ancient coins, they usually write on ancient coins from other places.
Yeah, from Greece and from other, yeah.
Right, from Libya, from Syria, from Cappadocia, such as Simonetta, the famous Italian numismatist. So, I mean, when we're talking about this, we're talking about banning numismatics. we are talking about destroying a science, right? This is
because these countries have not produced any relevant numismatic knowledge. Ever since this legislation was put in place, if you look into the main catalogs, the main academic production that is happening now, it comes from Germany, it comes from the UK, it comes from the US, places where the Romans would have never thought about putting their feet in. Well, maybe a little bit of Germany, but that's it. And this entire situation just becomes ridiculous because you can see that the knowledge that we gain from this. And I mean, I've recently been doing some videos about Eastern numismatics, so Iran and this area, and the Sasanians and the Parthians. A lot of what we know about these civilizations comes from coins. We know about certain kings and a series of rulers just from their coins, and we constantly update that knowledge from these coins. And a lot of that knowledge is done by people who come from half the world away, and this should have been done by local numismatists. And I mean, since the 14th century, since Petrarch, the knowledge on coins and the study of coins has been done by private individuals. And I mean, I was right now concocting myself like some thought about this, because the circumstances where these coins show up also needs to be visited. So you were talking about Spain a moment ago, and I was wondering, so for example, Spain is this country with like this very long history, and it's been like, from Romans to Greeks to Arabs to Byzantines, everyone has been around this area. And which means that the entire country is completely littered, not only the big archaeological sites, but everywhere you find stuff from the ancients. I mean, where do Roman coins show up in Spain, for example? It is in the southern region of Spain, in Andalusia. People were plowing their fields, their olive fields, which have had olives for thousands of years. That's where they find it. All right, we did a little cut there because Zoom only lets us record for like an hour. But that's
you can edit. You can always
edit. I was talking about maybe Spain. Like a hypothetical situation where people find coins or something like that in Spain, for example.
I tell you, in Spain, the problem is Spain has many archaeological sites, and they have many coin hoards from ancient coins, from the Carthaginians, the Phoenician colonies, Greek colonies, such as Emporia and Rhodes. Of course, Celtiberian coins, Iberian coins, Roman Republican coins, which Spain has been for a long time a source for many Republican denarii above all, and etc. But now there are many archaeological sites that are very important in Spain, and they are not being protected the way they should. And this is what you have just said about our concern as people who love the past, love history, and love archaeological things, that heritage should be well protected, but they are not protecting heritage. They are instead trying to build up the idea that Spain is the whole country, a huge archaeological site, and that everything, and when I say everything, is everything, because the Spanish heritage law says that things over 75 years old are archaeological items, and that they are property of the state, right? So this week, a metal detectorist found an aluminium metal pendant, I don't know what, from the mid-20th century, and he was charged with looting heritage, right? So it is easier for them to say that the whole country is a big, huge archaeological site and that everything is forbidden than to protect the important sites which are not being protected. And also, must say that many of these ideologists of the banning of canceling numismatics are the same that put the signature for the destruction of many important, hugely important, all-important archaeological sites, such as the palace of the Emperor Maximianus Herculius, which was destroyed to build, I think, the high-speed train. Yes, right. The station, the train station for the high-speed train AVE, right? So I think that much of this persecution is only they are overacting their concern for the heritage while they profit from destroying it.
That's what. And who gets prosecuted is, I don't know, like a farmer who finds a pot, like a small hoard of Roman coins in the middle of their olive field,
or in his own field,
a mosaic or something like this. And so in a way of trying to like build awareness to a proper way of handling this, I think it's interesting that we explore a situation, like a hypothetical situation like this. You're tending to your olive field, like someone in Andalusia, and you stumble upon a pot of Roman denarii, something that certainly did not happen only once. What should, according to the Brits, who I think are the best in handling the situation, how should a hoard such as this be handled? What should happen? What should we do? Should this go to the market? Shouldn't it? Should it go to the local museum? How should this be treated, at least in our opinion?
According to Spanish law, or according to Italian law, Greek law, they should call the authorities and let the archaeologists excavate the site. That's it. So what had happened in Italy is that many farmers who found, let's say in Sicily, a pot hoard of Sicilian tetradrachms, they just throw it, they just threw it to the sea or to the river to avoid this, because as you know, Italian bureaucracy is not the most effective in the world, so they probably will send someone to prospect the site 6 months after the discovery, and the actual excavation may take 3 years, in which no one will refund the farmer for the losses in his work, right? In his activity, in his, I don't know, crop, his crops, etc. So the farmers many a time have destroyed the finds.
Or they just melt down silver and gold. I wonder how many gold and silver.
Gold or silver, probably they will smell it or smelt it, or will just
throw it away.
Because as it's bronzes, probably they will throw it away to avoid problems, because nobody will take care. There is let's think about this. These countries have huge heritage, huge archaeological finds, a huge quantity of archaeological finds, etc., and have no enough money nor personnel to handle it. Yes. That's the point. If you want to forbid everything, and you want to own everything, and if you want to have control of everything, the most reasonable outcome is that you will have no control of anything, right? Yeah. And that nobody will follow the law, because it's so stupid, so problematic, that nobody will follow the law, obey the law. That's the point. So,
and how does it work in the UK? Because I think they have a pretty good way of handling the situation, that there's just way too many coins for public officials to handle, but also that the finders and the people actually have a claim to these objects, right?
Yes. Well, the United Kingdom is a modelic country in terms of heritage because they have the general the general concept that finder keeper, which is okay, unless it is something very important that the state, that it's to say the museums, etc., need this discovery. So in this case, there is a law, the Treasure Trove Act, that says that if something is a treasure trove, which is normally many coins, normally gold coins, etc., found together, more than three, I think, or more than two. In such cases, the state owns the thing, but must pay or should pay a compensation to the finder. On the other hand, the huge majority of finds are not treasure troves or are not of the interest of the state. And in such cases, anyway, the Portable Antiquities Scheme, which is the institution that handles the finds by the casual finds and the finds by metal detectorists, etc., they have, in this way, the record of everything is found, because if you find something in the United Kingdom and you report it to the Portable Antiquities Scheme, you have the legal ownership of that thing. And the archaeologists have what they say they want, which is the archaeological record.
The context where these coins were found and
exactly.
the eventual identification of the coins, which will give you all of the information of the time period where this hoard was found. Although even if the hoard is not contextualized within a major archaeological context, you get the idea that in this area, in this certain context, there was that amount of Roman or whatever presence, and this is the big information that they need. So I think really people need to understand that it's perfectly possible to have the best of both worlds: the protection of heritage, of archaeological information, of a full registry of every single coin that is found. It's possible, and at the same time, you have what I think it's the biggest example of citizen science in the history of mankind, which is numismatics. You have this, because think about it. You in the UK, and this could be applied everywhere. You could have armies of metal detectorists, of people following proper rules, recording their finds, going in proper areas with permission of landowners, finding these things, getting this massive information about the history of an area. And not only that, and feeding this massive potential future historians, great numismatists, because a lot of the biggest numismatists are just private individuals that have nothing to do with the academic world. And
they are academic, but they are not historians nor archaeologists.
Yes, they're not part of
they are independent
formal academic world.
Right. No, of course. For me, one of the finest 20th century numismatists was Pierre Bastien, who was I'm not sure if he was a Belgian or a French. I think he was French, but he worked in Belgium mostly. Who was a surgeon. He was a medical surgeon. He was not a historian nor archaeologist nor anything. So they are independent researchers. They are academic. They are wise men, let's say, but they are not. They are not within the numismatics has its own academic world and its own academic system. Numismatics has its own academic system, and mostly they are independent researchers. And we numismatics have collected, studied, researched, and preserved coins for 500 years, and we have done it well. I think we have done it much better than archaeologists, for instance.
Yeah,
Which
and
know nothing about coins, which think that coins are just fossils for dating a given
site or a
right?
context. And there's even like maybe getting more philosophical about the thing. There is an argument that a lot of people make, and I think it comes from a nice place, that they said that this kind of material should be a property, or should be something that belongs to everyone, should be accessible for everyone, and it shouldn't be maybe they would call selfishly, or it shouldn't be held by a single person in a private concept. And it's interesting, I think we already discussed this privately before, which is how private are private collections, and how really public are public collections. Because one thing I do in this channel, and it's funny because in my channel I have access to quite a lot of very fancy coins, and some people come and they ask me like, how do you get the money to buy all of that stuff? And I go like, that's not my stuff. I am just a normal middle class guy. I'm like a common Joe. Don't kidnap me, because you're not gonna get a lot. And 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 thousands of people, like, my channel is about to cross 2 million views.
Excellent.
And these people, like, it's kind of crazy, because I shamelessly go around Facebook groups and around the web, and I just ask people, like this crazy guy, like, please fill me your coins. I want you to fill my coins. Can I see your coins? Can I see your coins? And people are surprisingly willing to spend their time. Some of these people are quite wealthy people. Their time is valuable, but they still find their time to film me their collections and show that stuff. So these private collections are available for everyone to see. And at the same time, I was doing research to a video on coin hoards, and I wanted to show an example of a hoard in a thermopolium in Pompeii, and it had this very unusual Egyptian coin from Ptolemy, like the second or third. This coin was supposed to be like 200, 300 years old when it was deposited there, and I wanted to see which coin it was. Well, I looked around. I had a really hard time finding anything coming from whatever Ministry of Archaeological, Cultural Heritage, whatever, in Italy. When I finally found a database, an actual PDF with pictures and information about individual coins, I wanted to click on it, and you had to log in and you had to have credentials from whatever institution, whatever, to access that knowledge. How public are these collections? They're not.
You remind me what I always say. Those that is supposed to be public is not so public, and that which is supposed to be private is not private. And if you see, there are professors, university professors, and all the other employees of the state giving lectures, etc., and they show photographs of coins, and all photographs come from auction houses.
Auction houses.
Why? Because auction houses, they take care of coins, they make beautiful pictures, and they made it available to everyone. Unlike museums, where you can find, as a member of my channel showed me, he sent me the picture of a hoard in a museum in Greece, a hoard of tetradrachms, a fascinating, amazing hoard of tetradrachms, Hellenistic tetradrachms, which have small lettering saying, no photographs, these coins are unpublished. Okay, so the danger is that someone studies the coins, right? That is the danger. Yeah. Not to be stolen, no, that someone study the coins and publish the coins, right? Very
Yeah.
clear. Actually, I remember one of the directors of one of the auction houses in Switzerland he said that he had a friend who was a young, she was a girl that was preparing his doctorate, her PhD, on a very, very unusual subject, which was some figurines that are from classical Greece, from classical times in Greece, but they are not the main official cult, which was like not the Parthenon, nor the Heraion of Argos, but popular religion of the
Small
peasants.
household icons that people would do their daily worshiping there.
Exactly, very poor, little
Crude,
statuettes, very crude, that farmers will give them, will offer the first harvest, some the first fruits to be picked in a season, right? Well, and she went to a museum where she knew that there were many of these idols and things. And he asked to see the director of the museum, and she said, well, and the director of the museum, he said, I don't know why you want to study such ugly things, but I tell you something, I will not show you. We have thousands of the things in the deposits because no one will look at them. We put it in exhibition, but I'm not going to show you anything. Those things will remain in the deposit until a Greek archaeologist wants to study them. And so is it. The same numismatics told that when there was a theft in a museum in Greece, and when the Interpol requested photographs of the items stolen, they didn't provide any because they said, no, those pieces are unpublished. We have photographs, but we are not going to give you any photographs because those items are unpublished. So if someone comes into the site of the website of Interpol and can see the photograph, they can study what they don't do, right? What they are not doing. They can study the items and publish the items before I don't know, the lover of the museum who is making her or his PhD gets interested in such items to be
the little figurines.
Yes. Well, so I ask again, how private is what they call private, and how public is what they call public. That's what I ask. I don't know. I wonder. I don't know.
Yeah. And I think that's a good clue for us to sort of like, because I mean, it's going to be really hard for us to say that stuff, for someone from an archaeology or someone into this little world to listen to us, and in some way this is going to like mellow his heart. This is probably not going to happen, but I think this is a good opportunity for us to directly talk to collectors, and especially for dealers, coin dealers. I'm pretty sure there are quite a few of you guys watching my channel. What kind of advice would you give collectors, dealers, and people who are basically interested into the private ownership and the private study and the continuation of this this wonderful centuries-long tradition of citizen science and discovery of historical and numismatic knowledge? What kind of advice would you do to these people to pressure their representatives to go to their local museums and to ensure that private ownership continues? Because it's kind of weird as I said, like in the beginning of the video, I think for a lot of the people from my particular audience, this seems like a very distant thing. And I remember once I was talking to, she was a lawyer in the US or something like this, and she was like, you're totally over the top in your statements. See, this kind of stuff is not going to happen. I was like, I get where your claim is, because you're saying this from a country where that kind of stuff is normal, and it's being traded freely. But movements are being made for that stuff to change. And the other side of the pond, things are getting a little bit more complicated. So yeah, back to my question, because I just went into like a tangent. What would you recommend collectors, dealers, what do you recommend they do to ensure that numismatics, ancient numismatics continues, that the trade of these goods continues, on how do we ensure that we protect our heritage, but at the same time we have access to the trade of coins? Let me know what you think.
Well, you surely recall that I had a conversation like this with Ursula Kampmann, the great German numismatist, and the great defender of our rights as collectors and as also researchers, right, of numismatics. And she was the leader of a movement to promote the respect for privately collecting ancient coins and ancient artifacts in Germany. And it was very successful. I think in the United States, for instance, when United States by law tried to import the fascist laws of heritage producing countries such as Italy or Greece, some companies in the United States, they gave the phone numbers and the fax numbers at the time, etc. And now they will give you the emails, etc., of different representatives in the House of the Congress, right, to write and say, I voted for you, now defend my rights. This is because mostly these laws are unconstitutional, because they are attacking a number of constitutional rights, such as, of course, property rights, but also you cannot presume that something is stolen, because that's a criminal offense. You say, of course, looting of archaeological heritage is the same as stealing, right? This is a crime, is of the kind of stealing, right? Now, you cannot assume that a given coin is stolen, is looted, only because you have no records of previous transactions. That's ridiculous. Because as long as we know, the only registered goods are cars and houses or fields, I don't know, not coins, right? There is no, so everything, all these laws are unconstitutional. They are not, they do not respect the constitutional rights of the citizens, right? So this is what we should say. This is what we should promote, the idea. And now think that there is this. I've been talking to a friend who was talking to lawyers in Spain, and they told him that there is a tendency to over-legislate, right? To create laws and forbid things because that's
for the sake of making them.
Yeah, because legislators they think that that's what the people want. They want them. They want to see them working, right? Creating laws, no matter what, and heritage laws. They have some kind of, at least in this little world of the legislators, right? They have the idea that heritage laws are absolutely, everybody is in favor, right? Everybody
They are
supports.
they are virtuous on themselves. Like, you would never disagree on not protecting
Exactly.
our heritage, wouldn't you?
All these laws are passed as if there was no rights in conflict, right?
Yes.
Nothing. The only one who can be against this law is a criminal, right?
Yes.
We don't care about his opinion, right? And it's not true. It's not true. There are huge academics that are against this kind of law, against this kind of presumptions of criminality thrown without any kind of grounds, right? So no, we need to oppose this kind of proliferation. We need, in the United States, in Brazil, in Argentina, we need to oppose the import of fascist heritage laws. We cannot say, okay, in Italy, they presume that any coin that have no records to 1906, they are looted. Well, this is not Italy, right? I mean, if the Italian people, if the Italian people is okay with that, excellent. We are not.
Yeah. Yes, and this is a very nasty, slippery slope, because I mean, for our countries, we come from civil law, so I mean, the example of previous legislation isn't necessarily a thing. It's not like civil law, but of course, this is a slippery slope. If at first you do something that is a moral consensus, such as antiquities, then where does that stop? Oh, this kind of owning that kind of stuff is not good for you, or is not good for the country or the common good. Where does the common good end and individual rights begin? That is dangerous. That is opening precedents for whoever is with bad intentions, like some politician or some archaeologist or whoever in a powerful position with bad intentions, to erode our, as you said, like individual constitutional rights. Do we want this? Do we want our supposedly Western following of the law with checks and balances? Do we want our modern states very respectful of its citizens? Do we want them to fall into the things that we so often criticize about authoritarian states? Because that is a slippery slope to authoritarianism.
Now, Leo, think of this. These countries, such as Italy, such as Greece, such as Spain, they treat their citizens as children, right?
Yes.
In the kingdom, for instance, they treat their citizens as adults. They treat their citizens as citizens, right?
What does it happen if you don't declare? What does it happen if you don't report the coins or whatever you find in the UK?
Sorry?
What does it happen if you do not report coins or whatever finds with metal detectors in the UK?
You don't have the legal ownership of the things. That's it.
Yes, and it's considered that I think they call it nighthawks, the people who don't declare none of this. And every once in a while, you see in the UK news of people going to jail and getting some very heavy prison sentences for not declaring them. Why? Because the state treats people as adults.
Exactly. And if you don't forbid everything, you can focus on forbidding what is really wrong, right?
Correct.
Look, it was Milton Friedman, the American economist, that said once, in the 17th century, Britain was the most corrupted country in the earth, right? I mean, they were all smugglers, pirates, etc., etc. Well, in the 19th century, it was said that nobody will be able to corrupt a British official. It was the less corrupted country in the world. How did they change? Because they stopped forbidding and banning things, everything. They just banned what really mattered to be banned, right? They didn't forbid everything. They forbid what was really should be forbidden, right? That's the point.
Yeah.
So this was told by this. I recall it was Milton Friedman who said that, and it's true. It's true. If you forbid everything, if everything is forbidden, if everything is a crime and everything is the same crime, well, let's go for the biggest crime because it's all the same. Everything is crime. So it's stupid. It's stupid. But remember that in my talk with Ursula Katman, which is in English, you can see it.
I'll leave the link in the description.
She told me that the problem is that the archaeologists are employees of the state, and we numismatists are not, right? And that's a big problem because those, more above all, the ideologists of the cancellation of numismatics, they have direct line with the government, right? Yes. So what they want and what they say, it's what finally ends up as a law, right? Forbidding things. And that's a problem. That's a very, very big problem for us because we don't have this direct line. But collectors in our countries, in the United States, for instance, they have the possibility to reach the representatives in the Congress and to pressure and say, I voted for you. Now I want you to defend my rights. And there was a congressman in the United States who was a numismatist. I think he was a Republican, I think.
Yeah, and I think the UK also had quite a lot of politicians. I think, was it Lord Stuart B? I don't know. Like the UK has
great Scottish collector. Great Scottish collector.
Like
yeah.
They did have numismatists among their ranks, so people were actually aware of this.
Of course.
So yeah. So I mean, yeah. I hope just to sort of like wrap up. Although I think we should do more talks about this because hopefully people will have questions about what we just discussed now, and hopefully they just leave a comment and we use this as content to think about other chats. I hope people get an idea of that this wonderful, incredible hobby does have people threatening it. It's sadly it is a reflect of our times, of this time of like government overreach in all aspects of our lives. That also applies to collecting. So I hope people are aware of this. People understand that this wonderful hobby that needs to be, I don't know, people need to collect responsibly, but they also need to understand that it's their right to collect and to contribute, because this is one of the best ways for you to contribute to pretty much world heritage. Like, I hope my channel is helping history students, people interested into history, people interested into doing research. And are we going to, in the name of some supposed protection of heritage, which ends up not happening, are we willing to kill centuries of numismatic studies? Are we willing to let this wonderful field of study die off because of a supposed protection of its heritage, which we just showed here that doesn't really happen? I don't know. I hope this is food for thought for the people watching this. And we will probably meet a bunch of other times to keep, because I have a lot of things that I want to go over with you. So yeah, hopefully we have more chats like this. We talk about this sad trend, and hopefully we do some positive movements to change this, to continue this wonderful tradition.
That will be wonderful, Leo. But yes, to finish up, there is a problem when the countries that are source of finds of coins are getting more and more prohibiting legislations. And that's what we all should care about, even if we don't live in countries where collecting is being limited or forbidden. Okay.
Yes. So yeah, Damian, thank you very much for joining me into this little
You're
podcast
welcome.
experiment. Make sure everyone to follow Numis channel. He is a wealth of knowledge that you all will really appreciate. Make sure to watch all of his content. We will do something like this another time. And yes, thank you very much. And we will talk soon.